And here we go. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Maria, and we have an awesome roundtable today. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Yes. Hi, everybody. My name is Rick Grigaitis, co-founder of WikiLeaks, also part of Lexie's channel, that whole conglomerate there. Nice to meet you guys.
That's Lexie Icenhower. You guys saw her on one of my first shows. If you're following me at How We Heal with Dr. Maria, that was a great show. You can go ahead and refer back to that. This is Lexie's husband. And then to the other side of me, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Blessings. My name is Mamora. I'm a master healer and a master teacher. And I do lots of different things, focusing right now, providing complementary healing of instant pain relief and detox for veterans. So that's how I honor the Memorial Day of, the ultimate sacrifice of all our heroes is to treat the living veterans that were still around. Also, I do podcasts or video with Rick's wife, Alexia Icenhower, every full moon for parasite and parasitic issues and stuff.
I love that. I love that. And so today we were going to talk a little bit about that full moon. We were going to talk about instant pain relief, detox, as well as what's in our go bag, what's in our healing go bag. So I think all three of us can kind of put together a really amazing bag that could benefit everybody. And I think it's wise for people to kind of create their own little bag that they could have, for when they travel or go out into the world daily. So where do you want to get started? I really love that we are going to honor veterans today and talk about that. Did you want to start there, guys? Because Rick, you could give your background as well.
Yes, no, that's a great starting point. In fact, just kind of going real world. Yeah, I was talking with a few guys at my job, and PTSD's come up. And there's a lot of military guys in my line of work. And I think that's a great place to start. And with instant healing, I mean, Jeff is literally, no pun intended, on the front lines of this with so many veterans already. And I think there's a lot of stigma about PTSD. Let's be honest. I think people think that there's nothing you can do about it. The way that these other soldiers, Marines talk to me about this is like it's a runaway train. And I'm like, right there, the way that you're opening up to me about it, where you're like, yeah, it's just this thing that's always going to be a part of me, and I'm just going to have to suck it up, which sounds exactly like what we were trained to do, right? Desensitize, just suck it up. You got your knee hurts, your neck hurts, suck it up, be a man. You're a soldier, fight on. But they do this after they're out of the military. So I'm sure Jeff is chomping at the bit for this one, but my 2 cents going into this, guys, is just remember that there is a way out, and it's not hopeless, and we have the ways to help it. Okay, we're really past the what. I think now we're into the why, and the why is that you can improve and you can heal.
Yes. Can I say something about that? Because I'm going to take it from a different perspective. I am a brat, right? So I'm the daughter of the Marine, the daughter of the tough guy, the cousin and niece of Marines. So it's like, and then my patients that I see daily, like we were talking about earlier, Rick, we attract into our offices and our patients and people that want to get help by us because of who we are. And I can't help but know exactly what you're talking about, because that's how I was raised, to suck it up, to take one for the team, to kind of put back on the burner any kind of real healing, or the fact that I'm really in pain, of any kind, whether it be emotional or physical. And so I think it's really important for people to kind of realize some of these things can turn into generational things. A lot of us military kids, we're amazing for so many things. We're different, and that may or may not be one of them. It's a gift and a curse, right? Because we're these tough kids, but we need to learn how to heal ourselves first and then help people heal. What do you think about that, Jeff?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So the main thing that I would like just to affirm and reaffirm. I actually do miracles all day, every day, especially with the veterans. When it comes to healing and instant healing, I do this all day, every day. So I at least I heal a veteran 1 or 2 every day. It's like, I do this. It's just, emphasizing it again and could continue trying to feed it to the collective consciousness that we are doing this, because that's why I need your help to kind of put it out there. It's just me and my little tribe, So once these soldiers, or even the soldiers' kids, the children, right? Generational, the trauma is passed down. So once the trauma and the PTSD is not being resolved or addressed or healed, the kids are actually the result of having unresolved PTSDs.
Mhm.
So that's the thing. So I heal that also. So once you heal the source, or what related to the source, everything will be shifted, healed, and transformed. So as far as the PTSDs, at the core level, it is addiction to pain, because they're conditioned, right? Once you condition into a thing, you are programmed to a thing. So you develop some kind of codependence and dependency on that thing. And if it's chronic enough, a year or 2, 3 years or longer, energetically becoming like dependent, it's like addicted to that thing. So this is why what Rick was saying, like, hey, this is like something that I cannot heal or forever, this and that, because they never really go, not even to the root cause. I'm a maximizer, so I maximize healing. I go to the core of the root cause. So once you heal and transform that, everything is just like instant. And now, after hundreds and thousands of people, including veterans that I've helped, the maintaining part is the key. So you don't, quote unquote, I call it looping. So looping is basically what relapse is. So in what I do in my findings, when I say this, I trigger a lot of AA and NA people, because I see that as still like a teddy bear system. There's no such thing as substance abuse. Like, you're never addicted to
Agreed.
outside
Yes.
substance. You are just addicted to the internal trigger, AKA that pain that I was just talking about. So basically, I have all the tools and all the basic teachings. And I actually have tools that I give out on the daily basis to help them detox. So to make it short, so I don't want to talk too long on this subject. It needs to have a protocol that will address spiritual, mental, emotional, energetic, nutritional, and physical. So if a person is healing just dealing with the addiction without you detoxing, it's not going to be sustainable. So, and if you're eating shit, like if you're eating like not so healthy every day, then it's not going to be sustainable either. So it could be start as simple as water, salt, gratitude. And then I have a lot of other tools I'll cover, but then that's it for now.
Rick, did you want to say anything? I did want to mention one thing.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the problem that I see too, or the problematic is, people have to have the will to want to heal. Okay.
Yes.
And a lot of times this spiral, that is the absolute first thing that gets lost, is the will to want to do anything. We talked about this yesterday, Jeff. The will to want to get out of bed, the will to want to be productive, the will to maybe want to eat, to have relationships, all those types of things. So yet people still come to us for help, but they may not be ready for the sort of comprehensive help that we're talking about. We know what it will take to get you better.
Yeah, so that's why what I do, I call it prequalification. So I pre-qualify my students, my clients, and I would just ask them like, hey, these are the things that is required, and these are the things that you don't really may not accept as truth. So accepting truth as is important. So I kind of planted the seeds. It's like the willing and your commitment, let's say, to go out there and battle your enemies, it's the same. So I'm a behaviorist. So I switched to focus. Okay, we're gonna go out there and handle business, but that the enemy that you were focusing before is actually your old patterns.
You. Mm-hmm.
So as soon as it's like, okay, so you could see on the telescope, like on your scope, like, hey, we're gonna, let's say you're a sniper, you could see the enemy, right? So I could just like, look, the enemy is not what you was before. The enemy is actually your own shit, the unhealed stuff, or even the generational of PTSDs that's been passed down. So once you, and then you explain, this is why the willing and commitment is required before we even pre-contemplate to do anything.
And the truth is, their higher self wants to be healed. Okay, so
Yes.
they may not feel like it at the moment. They may be fighting it. They may be having everyone else thinking or telling them to do this and that. And they're the only ones that are kind of like ready, but not ready. Ready, but not ready. So it's sort of like, we have to cross that chasm. You got to want it, period. You got to want it. Do you want to live? Do you want to thrive? Do you want to be there for your family or not? And I know that sounds harsh.
Well,
No,
you
it's
gotta
the truth.
choose. It's the
You gotta
truth.
choose. You
You
are
gotta
what
make
you
a
feed.
decision.
Yep, you are what you feed.
Well, go ahead, Rick.
And Jeff does explain, it does seem like a lot, guys. It may seem like there's an overwhelming amount of steps. Well, guess what? That's what it takes to get right. That's what it takes to get straight on this. And it all feeds itself in a positive way. You're changing your sleep patterns for your lifestyle to then better accumulate your new diet. It then allows you to have more of a clear mind to remember to take your supplements and to follow the fundamentals of saltwater gratitude and to do the things, and you feel better, and then you start to remember, man, that feels great because of what I did, and I'm happy that I accomplished that. I'm going to continue to do this procedure. I'm going to follow this protocol because it works and it feels good, and I believe in it, and you grow it, and that's what people need to get into. And it doesn't matter how many steps there are, because there's some days where I'm feeling crappy, and Lexie and does a protocol on me where there might be 20 steps over 4 days about what the regimen's going to be, and it's worth it. That's what you do. So I just want to make that clear.
Yeah.
So can I say something real quick?
Of course, Jeff, go ahead.
So at the core, okay, and here's the thing of the collectivism, right? When you're dealing with a soldier, when I say soldier, it's now I'm going to make it more general, okay? Because I was a soldier because I work with insane criminals and I got orders from the up above and I have to get shit done. If not, people get hurt, literally, because I used to work it's like a battlefield. I work with volatiles, individuals, criminally insane. Then I'm responsible for the patient, the patients, and the staff. So when the difference, what people need to understand, like what people not necessarily understand, is to accept. They have different level of what is acceptance and what is understanding. That's the two main thing that your consciousness and your ego and your pride confuse, or you chose to confuse your freaking self. Okay, so first of all, when you are responsible for yourself, right?
If we're sovereign beings, if we're truly
Yes.
sovereign beings and that's what we want, we're using our free will, then yes.
Yes. Now, they were so bombarded with the program. It's like, look, you are just, it's too much the collective. Everything's like, okay, it's about the battalion. It's about your group. It's about the tribe. You got to do this because you got to sacrifice this, and that. But then when that is taken out, for you to become autonomy, sovereign, they kind of wig out. So that's when, okay, look, let's go back to the basics. Let's deprogram that, because everything serves the purpose when it comes to time. So it's basically, I teach discernment. Is this conducive to do this right now? Like internally, what you are feeding and entertaining within your thoughts and emotions. That's how actually able to help a lot of suicidal crises. It's like when you put in some people in a different level of consciousness and an alignment, I said, so I'll let you judge. Is this the way you want to go out? Because that's how God spoke to me when I was in the suicidal crisis hundreds of times when I was walking around suicidal. That's why I was really good at healing people, because I've been there, not once or twice, hundreds of times.
Right.
So at the end of the day, when you actually truly accept, oh, wait a minute, I am responsible for my damn self. So I got to start thinking for myself. You have to get to that basic sometimes. And then I was like, okay, so if you can't do it for yourself, then I will look, okay, who do you care really? Brothers and sisters? So I will find a way. It's like, okay, if you can't do it for yourself, can you do it for your daughter? Do you love your daughter? Do you love your mom? Something just to trigger commitment. So willingness is one commitment, and then to have the drive, the tenacity to maintain that commitment. That's it.
Yeah, what's interesting is they have that quality.
Yes,
They already showed us.
It's a focus. It's a matter of focus. Like I told you, the scope.
We know that they can commit, period, because they did it in the military, and they gave it their all.
But it wasn't for themselves, dear.
And that's interesting that you say that, because part of that is very on purpose. It was very part of the programming, the training. I just posted this on Instagram. Jocko Willick said, if I'm manipulating you, it's because I'm trying to make you do something that's going to benefit me. If I'm truly leading, I'm having you do something that's going to benefit you, the team, and the mission. So part of it is, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it, Rick, you know, you're in the guard. There are some people that go into it with the wrong reasons, and the way they lead is truly manipulation. And so that is part of the programming. So let's talk about deprogramming a little bit, but go ahead, say more if you want to talk about the programming part of it.
No, you're absolutely right. I think, looking back, it was so easy to see those types of leaders coming. And the tricky part is that we couldn't really call them out, because effectively they had rank on us. So you're kind of stuck in their world. And even though you could, on some human level, interact with them, still in the military sense, they had one up on you, and they were always able to do that. And they would always drive that screw, but that just would separate them further from us, and they would identify themselves, and you would just steer clear of those people. And eventually they would get theirs in the end. You just move on, brush it off. Suck it up.
Where they're, I don't like that term, because it's almost like I'm saying someone's going to get their karma, but where we all get ours is once we're out. Right. I wasn't in the military, but once those people come out and they have to face the real world again, shit is different, So it's like, it's gonna come. It's gonna happen. The healing will happen whether we like it or not. It'll smack us in the head like a 2x4, and it'll sit us down and shut our little asses up until we get it done,
Yeah. And all the little stuff that happens, in the barracks and the hallways, that stuff doesn't matter. It's what happens in the real world, people. It's the real world when it really matters.
Let me
on the other side. Go ahead.
Let me add real quick what Dr. Maria was saying. And, some people heard this stories quite a few times. When Dr. Maria is saying the healing will happen, just like it hits you in the face, right? Let me just give you a reality. People will literally die in front of you just for you to get a message. And I experienced that. Innocent lives was taken in front of me. Unborn child was taken in front of me for me to get a freaking message. It will get to that point. And it took me more than a decade to really get the message and heal from that. So let me just repeat what I said. Not only that you will suffer the consequences, people around you will suffer the consequences of your ignorance and your stubbornness to accept truth as is. Sometimes strangers that you don't even know. That happened to me. When I was so suicidal, low key. I was really good at doing what I was doing. We got in a car accident. I got in that car accident on the same spot in a carpool lane, going to work twice in the same exact spot. Obviously, I didn't get the first message. So a car in front of us lost control and we T-boned them. We couldn't go anywhere because there's a guardrail next to us. And I could still see this lady that was pregnant, that's screaming and dying. And she died later, and her unborn child. So one of my toughest to get over myself was, after that, it triggered a feeling of unworthiness to be alive. Just imagine, I was walking around for years feeling I was unworthy to be alive because I felt God took an innocent child, unborn child, and an innocent woman. I didn't understand that's the way universal or God works. And it's not about punishment. It's just for you, just for us to get it, for us to evolve, so you could get down to the mission. So in a way, I look at the way our life is like a military, because it's mission oriented, whether you fucking like it or not. Get over your damn self. It's about the mission. It's always about the mission. It's not about how you feel. So it sounds harsh, but it's reality. And that's what I went through. Okay.
Yeah.
So I had to really heal out of that was one of the most challenging things. It took me over a decade just to heal from unworthiness. So I had to actually go through of this unworthiness. So why is it so freaking important about worthiness? That's the key of not allowing. What I teach is the art. I'm the master in teaching of art of allowing. If you feel you are worthy, that's the start. Are you worthy? Because all this stuff of like self-abusive pattern, addiction, this and that, one of the main core of the root cause is unworthiness.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through that.
Yeah. So if you went through that, Jeff, can you imagine guys had multiple deployments, seeing death day after day in front of them, not just people that they didn't know, but their own buddies dying in their arms, or, you know, being a medic, and then, you know, you couldn't save someone. So it's like,
guilt.
Extrapolate, that guilt, that unworthiness. You come back, you can't. Some people, you know, could keep going, I guess, or I don't know how the military works with deployments, but gosh, that's a lot, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we help people feel worthy again?
It's actually very easy. It's actually very easy, but applying it is not all that easy. As a concept, it's very easy. Number one, you need to get over yourself. So to feel true gratitude and then to let go of the mind. I don't believe in mind over matter. What I teach is actually spirit over mind. My hashtag is spirit over mind. So when you're able to get over yourself, so you're not suppressing your mind, you're able to put your mind to the side. And then you connect to your higher self, your true, already realized, already actualized self, which is in your spiritual form. And then you connect through gratitude. And gratitude is, to me, God's currency. You want to have current. Current means like an electrical current, like a currency. Have more gratitude. With that alone, and with some minerals, and we just do some breath work and alignment. Voila, that's it. That is, it's all you needed in the beginning to feel worthy again, is to get over actually the feeling of guilt, the feeling of unworthiness. It's sometimes become an addiction. So while you're able, so that's the thing. So you could get over that. And it's like, you are what you feed. It's just all these little phrases that I'm saying. It's not just to be cool. These are realizations and my own findings after helping thousands of people before my spiritual awakening and thousands more after my spiritual awakening. So that's it. Get over yourself and let go of the mind, because all the PTSDs is in the mind. the videos of replaying, so you're not there anymore, you're here. Shit that happened was years ago, but then you are actually going back, taking yourself out of the alignment, out of the present moment. That's addiction. When you respond of new experience as like the old experience and process and respond like the old self and the old pattern, that is the definition to me. This is my definition of relapse and addiction. Is the way you process and respond dictate the outcome.
Agreed. And Rick, did you want to say anything more about the deprogramming? How have you helped people with that? Or I know you meet with a group of guys sometimes.
Yeah, I think every time, well, thank you. That's a good question. Bringing it up to somebody is, I think if you're approaching it from the context of a healer, I mean, maybe you're somebody watching this video and this is in relation to somebody you know, maybe your mother, father, brother, sister, your cousin, a friend, male or female, is suffering from something like this with PTSD, and you want to help them. It starts with, I hate to say this, but like we were just apologizing for, maybe a hard edge approach, but maybe this will help. I have to take people and I have to walk them through what they're experiencing. And most people, when they explain or open up about their PTSD, they already know what to expect from people. They're going to get the sympathy, they're going to get pity, they're going to get asked maybe a few questions, and then people are going to move on. And then afterwards, that person is kind of feeling fulfilled. He's like, oh, I did my thing. I shared, excuse me, I was open-minded. What I typically do, though, is I said, you hear yourself, you're still like Jeff said, you're still living in that convoy. You're still replaying it back. If you were truly through this, you would be telling me how you'll be able to explain what that pain was and how it served you and how you got better. All I'm just hearing you is telling me the same story, bro. And that happened 10 years ago. You need to move on. You have got to set the discipline in your own mind to think through what happened. And a lot of it is even your fault. And this is another thing that usually goes into, because by then they're kind of looking at me like I'm crazy, and I probably sound really condescending to them, and completely discounting their emotions. And how could I, as a brother, how could I, people are sensitive about these things. And I start bringing up, well, let's go right to it, right, doctor, the diet. What have you been eating lately? What's your health style like? How many energy drinks have you had today? It used to be my favorite question to anybody who would come into my, my little medical room. How many energy drinks have you had today? Oh, I've had 2. I'm like, it's noon. You've had over 300 milligrams of caffeine. How many times do you do that a day? Every day. How long have you been doing that for? A while, a couple of years. You're adrenally fatigued on top of having to work hard, because that's, you're here. Let's use construction as an example. You have to work more than 40 hours a week in bad conditions. You're overworked. The world is stressful. COVID happened 3 years ago. That screwed everybody's lives up. It's go, go, go. And people forget that. And you have to, I have to help guide people through that realization. And that's usually what helps. That's what gets people to come back and ask for more questions. Hey, I thought about what you said the other day, and wow, you really made me think about it in a different way. And I want to know what I can do to get better. And I'm like, wow, see, now we're at the core of it. That wasn't there the last time. Now you want to seek help. That's the right line of questioning. Get away from the pain.
Yes. Well, before we go into instant pain relief and some details on that, I just want to say a little bit more about one of the problems about what you were just talking about, Rick, is the VA. Okay. I believe it's a continuation of being in, okay, because it's part of the programming. This whole group counseling, now literally to get service connected, you have to jump through all these hoops to get their percentage and blah, blah, blah. Part of that for the PTSD side, or maybe everyone, is they have to do group counseling, okay? And I'm not a huge fan of this group counseling shit, okay? Because again, you go in, talk about the same things for years, nothing ever, where's the healing? Now, there's one thing, I will say something, there's one thing that the VA did years back, and I don't know if they're still doing it, but they had started incorporating yoga and EFT tapping. I don't know if they're still doing that. I haven't heard anything, which I do like those things, but I haven't heard anything about that from any of my vets. Go ahead, Rick.
I just want to say it's just to clarify for the audience, it's about the VA mandated group meetings. If you guys are having your own meetings or anything else, that's great. It's just that these VA ones are kind of structured weird.
Yeah.
That's what you were talking about.
Yes, I'm not talking about having a battle buddy. I do love that. I love the whole battle buddy thing. I think that's so important. Again, with that, hopefully, you know, things are progressing forward, you know, and people are moving into a healing rather than staying in the past, right? Which is, I think, what you guys were talking about.
Well, yeah, it's, you know, again, just touching on it's funny to me that a lot of the ways that we were programmed, you know, manipulated to think a certain way or to be desensitized, we can use that now as healers to kind of flip the gun back the other way. Maybe that's a horrible analogy, but we can use all the ways we were forced to discipline our minds and our way of thinking and the order and structure everything had. Great. Apply that to detox and apply that to healing. You already have it right there, guys. Just turn it around. Literally 180. Just turn it around. It's right there. You guys have it. You guys already have the tools. It shouldn't be hard. You know, it should be a click. And that's kind of what's missing for a lot of you guys is that you guys have almost lost that spark. You know, where was that gung-ho chagrin when we were charging into battle? Or when you were posted, you know, when you were deployed every day waking up, you were on edge, but you were focused. You know, there was a calm you guys all give so much pride to, and that's what you guys want. Give that to healing. Give that back to yourself now. There's no one around you. You know, I'm just assuming a lot of you guys are already out. There's no one around to give you an order for miles anymore. You give the orders now. Yeah. Give yourself the right orders.
The new mission. The new mission is heal.
The new mission. Heal.
Absolutely.
So Jeff, go ahead.
Okay, so before we go to the actual pain relief, I need to add a couple of minutes of that so to further address the programming. So one thing is we're talking about that self-worth, right? Unworthiness. Number two is the programming of I need to give an order. So you need to give an order to yourself. So, you know, like the scope, like, hey, the enemy is over there, right? Yeah, the 180, just turn the scope. Hey, it's you. But the enemy is not the whole part of you, just some part of you, the old patterns, the PTSD and this and that. So I'm not a fan of AA and NA. For a short period of time is okay because, you know, we're not going to go into details because I see them as a teddy bear system. So once what I do is just for them to detach. So basically, it doesn't matter how horrible the PTSD was, right? I would actually ask the individuals, brother and sister, I respect you and I love you, but I'm going to give you like tough love now. Are you ready to let it go? And they would give me like what the fuck do you mean? It's like your identity is the PTSD. Are you ready to let it go? Because I was there when, you know, I was in pain majority of my life. When people ask me, when they have not seen me in but a year after I healed myself, they would actually say like, how's this, how's that? When my identity is not related to the trauma and to the whatever chronic shit that you're, you know, experiencing, you don't even have anything to talk about with even friends and family because that was part of your identity. No, I would actually ask people, even when they come to my cacao ceremony, when they come with tons of demons, because these are the demons are actually feeding on what their program of the PTSD. It's like, because when you're replaying all this PTSD video in your head, in your mind, you're creating a demonic vortex. These are what parasitic is. So parasitic entities feeding on your PTSDs. So then I would actually explain to them, are you ready to divorce your pain? Are you ready to let go of that entity? What do you mean? Are you ready to let go of that teddy bear? Because pain and suffering is not holding you. You're holding the PTSD. So I put the responsibility back on their hands. So they would actually wigging out. Either they got upset or what. I was like, what do you mean? It's like, and the number one thing that is not being given to a lot of this, truly being given, is the responsibility and the ownership of their healing.
Mhm.
Put it back on their hands. And then when you're ready, or if you want to try, let's give it 100% or 110% effort, just like when you were, serving the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are brave, but it's just, that's the thing. The worthiness needs to be there.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the thing. And I've done this many times. You could ask one of my students, when I healed many of veterans, I would ask them, are you ready to let go of your PTSD, aka the teddy bear? And they would like, what the fuck? Like, you're talking about this, but okay, that's fine. But if you're not ready to let it go, then there's no healing. So stop talking about you want to heal if you're not ready to let it go. Because I had to do this. I had to do the same thing. Even after you were healed and fully transformed, I caught myself trying to re-trigger old pain, old heartbreaks and depression, this and that. That's why I created my own teachings. That's why I created a spiritual cleansing ground. That's why everything is about maintaining and sustaining, because if you're not consistent, if you're not maintaining and nothing is sustainable, then you ain't got shit.
Can I mention something too? It's the other thing too is the military is really good at advertising to the young men and women that are not necessarily, they've already had a lot of trauma at this point in their life by 17, 18. A lot of people go into the military already mucked up. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we're not just talking about the stuff that may have happened while they were in. A lot of things could have been from childhood as well that just keeps growing and growing and growing. So really to ask the person, are you ready to let it go? I mean, that is a lot of years of stuff, right? And then also I wanted to add too, the normal things, the mainstream things that they're given to help themselves is usually pharma, or they get in the habit of drinking and other types of helpers, right? Drugs, street drugs, whatever. So if we're talking a little bit about on the esoteric side of things, once you start having those things in your life so constantly, it allows the demons and the negative spirits to come in very easily to take over. And not that I'm, saying it's their fault. No, it is the action of the person to allow that to happen. So that makes it a lot harder. And the other thing I wanted to add was, I don't care where the PTSD came from. Okay, whether it's childhood, military, if you were an asset, if you were, not necessarily in the military, but you were a contractor, okay, or 20 backs, they're listening to our shows, we know that. So on planet, off planet stuff, I don't care where it came from. This is going to apply to everyone, correct, Jeff and Rick?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
So we're going to talk about the actual pain relief, okay?
Let's definitely move into that.
Okay, so we talk about issues. Now we're going to talk about solutions. Yay.
Yes.
My fave.
Yes. Okay, so it's again the program of having powerlessness. So this is one thing that the big pharma, the military, and everything that was related to the cabal to literally take away the power of your own sovereignty and your responsibility, number one, to heal. So they made you, because of the fear, it makes you like, incapable of doing stuff. They made you feel, or you allowed yourself to be duped by these mother effers. Like you made it feel like you are, because you're doped up by the narcotics, right? You're doped up by the morphines and whatever, and antidepressants. And then you doped up on your own, self-medicated. And guess what? I've been through it all myself.
But not just that, they had to do the what's to go.
There you go. There you go. So at the end of the day, we got to detox. So when it comes to detoxing, this is why I do that parasite cleanse every full moon. All help with that. But we're going to go back to the basics. Like, how fast can we reduce pain within seconds and minutes? I've done it millions of times. Okay. So, and my student able to do this also. It is just as simple as what we already actually covered. As soon as that you're able to let go your attachment to the perception of your pain and suffering, as soon as you're able to let go of your attachment to your ego and your pride, what is going on instead of what was going on? What is going on right now? When you read truth, when you accepting truth as is instead of the truth as you want it to be. Let's say if you're still talking about a thing or an incident like even 5 months, 5 years ago, that means you're not there now, right? At this moment, I would like to use, if we're in the battle right now, you're in the battle, you're side by side, we're fighting enemy and we're under fire. Are you going to be busy thinking about your PTSD? Or are you going to try yourself to perform and make sure that we're surviving and you got my back and I got your back? Which one is it? So again, it's about worthiness, willingness, and commitment.
And staying in the now.
And staying in the now. That's as basic as it is. And then to understand that emotion is an energetic thing. And you can actually let it go as long you actually let yourself not to hold it, not holding it. And then with some minerals and breath work and just focusing on feeding the emotion. So negative emotion and negative thoughts, not necessarily a bad thing. It is only a bad thing if you feed it and not give it a purpose. So once you give it a purpose, that is the most basic alchemy teaching that I do. Give it a purpose is for transmutation.
Can you give us an example of a purpose?
It's like this. Okay, when I said you feel fearful, yeah, because I almost died, I've seen a lot of people die. I still fear. I feel the fear. Okay, cool. And then fear attacks kidney. Let's say I would give an example. Why would people, when they're scared shitless, they start peeing in themselves? Does that make sense? I explained to them in the Eastern concept how fear attacks kidney, which is the water element. So fear literally attack the system. So like I explained, emotion is energetic. It's like an electrical charge. So basically, imagine your water element is short-circuited because of the fear. So your bladder and your kidney literally non-functioning. That's why you piss in your pants when you're scared shitless. So I was like, oh, okay. So meaning emotion is more powerful than anything because you're not being physically attacked. You're not being forcefully taking any poison, but you're pissing in the pants, right? Or you've witnessed someone that is actually pissing in their pants because of so much fear. Another example I would give them is basically when you're so nervous and worry, you sometimes throw up, whether it is an exam, any kind of extreme worry, because worry attacks stomach. Or when you actually when you lost your brother, your sister, your lover, or a breakup, you can't breathe because grief attacks lungs. So I will empower this to show how, oh, okay, so now we'll actually let them breathe gratitude, which is the currency of God, and to actually focus on that. In that moment, if they're able to let go of their attachment, the perception of pain will be relieved instantly. And it doesn't matter what type of pain it is. In fact, a tooth, broken bone, it doesn't matter. Because in that moment, you will actually increase your biocoherence from the spirit to mental, to emotional, to the energetic, and to the physical. All it could happen in a faster than speed of light. And you need to actually feed it with your breath. We are beings of light. The force of your light is your breath. So that's it. Let me just go back again, recap. Let go of the mind. Allow yourself to connect to the spirit by feeling gratitude, not thinking, not affirmation, feeling gratitude. And that's the responsibility of the person that's helping them, like me. In that moment, if they have water and salt and not drink it, the minerals works as a raw material to conduct energy, basic, right? Without minerals, there's no conductivity of the energy, or AKA our light. So basically, once they feel, oh, emotion is energy in motion. Yes. So you don't need to get stuck in there. It's an actually in motion. So I said, do you know what is the purpose of fear? No, it serves a purpose. So you give it, thank you. Okay, I'm feeling fear, and give it, thank you. I'm grateful to feel fear, because fear gives you a warning signal of a possible danger. If you ever get like in a car accident or close to get a really bad car accident, increase, boom, you get in the flight or fight, heart rate goes up, whether you got in an accident or not, you're there, right? Then after that, it's fine. Now, I went through this. It's like a mini PTSD, because especially if other people died from that accident. As soon as that you feel that motion of jerking and the red light in front of you, oh my God, we're gonna get in an accident, right? So the practice is like, to feel that is fine. But to accept, oh, it was just close to accident. It was just trying to let me off a possible danger. So feeling this negative emotion and thoughts is not the problem. Is to understand how you process and respond. Fear is just a possible danger. So when the actual danger is not there, it is your responsibility not to entertain it or feed it.
Well, what happens too is the body is warning of fear, but it's also starting all the chemical reactions to start the sympathetic fight or flight, which is get up and run or fight, fly. So when that thing doesn't happen, then the person is then stuck with all of that sitting there, the chemicals just like pooling, and so how do you kind of let all of that dispense and go, and
so
not get into an anxiety attack? And go ahead.
So I teach people how to ground. So if it's like an electrical thing, right, an energetic thing, so you could ground them, just like an electrical thing.
Yeah.
So this is not walking barefooted. This is basically, you could actually move emotion with your breath. So I teach this. You could, you could feel the emotion. You could actually feel a certain emotion where it is, let's say mostly for women, they hold emotions either down by the womb or in your chest and the breast area. So basically now I put them in the war mode. It's like, okay, which one you're going to feed? Your willingness, and it's like a commitment. So it's that your willingness and commitment is an energy field. The gratitude is an energy field. Your commitment to conduct more love and light is an energetic field. So which one you're going to feed now? And okay, let's do sparring. So we conduct that, and then see if it's strong enough to the field that you were feeding for all this time, of this attachment to the fear and this and that, and you would actually give it to that field, and all of a sudden they feel like, oh, I'm feeling lighter. It's that simple. So this is literally like my spiritual teaching is almost like a martial art in the spirituality, but it's a applied spirituality, because to me, spirituality without application is BS. You need to apply it. So this is very applicable. Once you do this, just within few seconds, it's that simple. It's not complicated. You just need to have the actual feeling is here, not here. So it's not suppression of the mind. It is actually set the mind to the side. It is like in the Eastern concept, let's say Hindus and Buddhists, they talk about cultivation, right? Emotion, how do you cultivate emotion? When it's actually come to like a challenging individuals, when they're so attached and they're start becoming, let's say, aggressive to me. Oh, fuck you. I don't want to do this. It's not okay. Then we got nothing to do. But if they're willing, but they're still stuck, you know what I would do? This is very simple. And I've done this with my old patients many times. Truth and vibration is different. Vibration, when people say, oh, I'm going to be high vibe, this and that, it is your consciousness, the way you feel. What more important than that, it is light. So truth equal light. Lack of truth is lack of light. More truth, more light. No truth, no light. I mean, no truth, basically no light. By just claiming truth, saying my name. This is why I don't like my name is this, and I am working, I'm going to do this. Just you. And then that's an energetic field. Then we do that with gratitude. Voila. I do this with, like widow. They had massive pain. Let's say the husband been passed for a while, and I put them in certain alignment and with that gratitude, with water salt gratitude, and then just claim their name, their born given name. So with that truth, it created a resonance of coherence since they were born. Their pain 100% will be reduced, minimal 50% in that moment. But they just have to feed it with breath, because they would like, oh my God, I feel weird. It feels different. Because I said, okay, so how long you been having this sciatica pain? Oh, about 7 years or 15 years ago. Okay, what happened during that 15 years ago? And it's like, right. My husband passed. Okay, there you go. And then after that, I have crystal patches that will actually enhance all this stuff. So basically, that's that. And we'll cover a little bit more of the solution about the project I've been working at for years to create a whole battalion of pain relief specialists. So, but what do you guys feel about what I just talked about in the past few minutes?
No, I agree. And it just starts again when people are serious about what you talked about before, which I think predicates this process of, are you ready to let go? And they might say, yeah. You're like, okay, well, great. Or maybe this is happening on a phone call where you say, I know this happens all the time, and I've done this. Like, hey, I need help. I've lost my mind and I'm spiraling and I need help. Okay, breathe. And transmute. Observe what's happening. Breathe. And this can happen when you're reliving the trauma. You can say, okay, I'm back there in the convoy and you're going through it. Breathe. Let it pass. Give it a purpose. Realize that you came through that. You're alive. You've come 10 years. You're stronger. You have a family now. You've grown past that. Give gratitude for that. That feels good, right? And they typically do. They say, yes, that does feel good. And they have their eyes closed. They're just breathing and they're doing the simple steps. And I've been looking at this door on my screen, and it's a lot, you were saying earlier, Dr. Maria Salas, about how easy is it? It's easy as opening the door. But remember, there's other mechanisms there at play too. I have to turn this handle. I have to grab it. I have to turn this handle, which then turns the internal mechanisms in the handle, which could be interpreted as the internal mechanisms of our body, which is what Jeff and Lexie do, which is biohacking. If those aren't ready to go, then that door's not going to go very far. But it is just a simple action. But it does. It all starts with you. And what I notice, and you guys maybe can attest this too, when you go through this process with people, they're often amazed that it took almost so little effort, but it happened so quick. It's like you said, like how long, and you already kind of know the answer when you ask. It's like, well, how long have you been dealing with this? 7-15 years. You're like, okay, well, I'm going to make this go away in about 7 to 15 seconds. And people are blown away. You're like, it was there with you all the time. So don't you feel good about it? And oftentimes we're left with, yes, I'm motivated. I feel great about this process. Thank you for the protocol. And then we follow up a week or two later and it's like, oh, I felt so great. I just stopped. And now I'm feeling down again. It's like, well, remember what we did. Let's pick it back up. So that's what I was thinking about when you were explaining it. And I love when you explain.
Yeah, I think what you did to them, Rick, or what you did with that person is that they were in the past and you brought them into the now. Like you literally did this quantum leap with them. You used light, sound, and breathing, air. I get to do this with the adjustment, as a chiropractor, and move energy in that way. And one technique that I've learned to do for myself with other people that I share is just some little thing. If I notice I'm stuck in a loop or someone's asking me to, help them with their anxiety, we know that it's because they're worried about something in the future or they're stuck in the past, right? So if we can try to bring them into the right now where they're breathing, I sit them down. The best thing would be outside on the grass or in some sand and dirt, grounding and earthing, like that would be awesome. But I usually sit them down and I say, okay, just say anything, everything that you're seeing right now. everything that's right in front of your face. So the other day I was stuck in a loop and I was washing the dishes and I just said, okay, you're washing a spoon. You see this dirty dish right here. You're grabbing the paper towel. I just said everything. If I'm driving, I just say, okay, I see that sign. There's a white car right here. I'm getting ready to turn the signal, so I just try to keep listing things. And then all of a sudden that old loop is gone and I'm right here and right now. And I think that is one of the things that you've done, Rick, when you were talking someone through it in a different way, right?
Yeah. And here we are again. This is like your built-in avoidance system that tells you, hey, warning, avoid this, just put it into practice. And it's like flip it on and flip it off. You're like, okay, I'm back. That's what we want. We want that present mindedness. And people who have gone through so much pain for so many years, guys, it's so easy to remember because you feel better because all you felt is crap. So when you feel better, don't you just want to do that all the time? That's what I'm having trouble understanding.
Well, again, because they've become masters at something, and that was avoidance.
And desensitization. Yeah,
they
being
literally
desensitized.
have a master's degree or a doctorate in that. Yet if we just kind of give the energy to the other thing, which is the healing, they could have the master's or doctorate in that.
I like that. That's funny. But no, it's true. Yeah, exactly. I could
Very true. Very true. Very true. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Were you going to go over some of the things in our toolkits, or what do you got going next?
Yes. So okay, so that's that. If a person don't have actually access to some of my tools, and if they actually have access to some of my tools, they don't necessarily have to do this work initially on their own. Okay, but I rather start with practically, those water, salt, gratitude. It's just basically ingredients. The ingredients are literally 3 ingredients: water, salt, gratitude. The breathing part I didn't put in there because because you must be breathing, right?
Sorry, that's a given, guys.
Yeah.
Breathe.
So breathe. So again, it's for them to realize that emotion is energy in motion. So, and if they are open, I have so many transmissions of videos. If they are like, okay, some are actually pretty open nowadays to receive energy healing. I have tons of videos, like basically, as long they're just able to sit, like cultivate gratitude with their breath for just a few seconds with water and a little bit of pinch of salt in their water with my transmission, they will feel a relief. So with that in mind, I just need you to give a quick testimonial, Dr. Maria. So if you are watching this, brothers and sisters, that energy healing I do all day, every day, mostly remotely. So how was your quick experience with just having gratitude and receiving healing remotely through the phone from me?
It worked. So that's the ultimate right there. And it was very interesting because you did what I just said. You brought me into the now, because I'm almost sure that even if it was a headache, I believe it was.
Yeah.
It was probably, for starters, probably didn't have enough salt. And I might have been a little dehydrated, but it's possible I was in a worry mode, and who knows. But you brought me to the now. We went into gratitude. We did breathing, and it was just a matter of letting it go, I don't want to say letting the pain go, letting the headache go. It was like letting the fear go. Whatever that was, whatever the headache was from, let that go, because it wasn't really the headache,
Yes. So I'm so glad that you said that, because that's always what I go trying to get to people. It's not just the root cause, it's the core of the root cause. Because your headache today and then a week from now you're having the same similar symptoms, it doesn't mean it's the same cause. This is why if you're just going to address the symptoms, even with the holistic way addressing the symptoms, it's always good. It's always preferable to have some kind of realizations. So with these realizations, it's the way we evolve or repeat. So once you give pain, quote unquote, the pain, a purpose, just like a fear, just like anger, just like, this is why I speak very very loudly against toxic positivity because it's like a truth. So I actually tell them like, look, to get triggered is fine. It is the way we respond because the trigger serves their purposes. Not sometimes it's more than one purpose. If you just like what I'm saying, it's like being passive is what get us in this freaking stuff right now.
Yeah.
So no, I need you to say something. When you get triggers, righteous anger, say something, do something. I'm not talking about doing violence and stupid shit. No, I'm talking about just honor yourself.
And express
Yes.
what you're feeling, because that is when the resentment builds up. When you stuff it inside, you keep it inside and you're not expressing your truth, then you're just gonna have resentment towards the thing, the person, the situation. The brain remembers that stuff too. The limbic system remembers that.
Yes.
And
So
then the pattern keeps going.
There you go. So once I teach this simple stuff, oh, wow. So I could actually deprogram myself. Yeah, because you actually program yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So when I actually like, well, I got to say this to the mother of her place or to the face. No, you don't necessarily need to do that. It is actually ego and pride. Let's say closure. You know, I had this thing when people said, oh, you need closure because the main purpose I'm in here in the United States is a dying wish of my mother. So I came here as a dying wish of my mother. So when my mom passed away and I was really already depressed and homesick, I couldn't go back home, even though she asked me to come to her funeral because I was in the process of getting my legal papers. So decades later, I was really, just having a hole in my heart. But then guess what? That's because you claim what people are saying, the psychologists, this and that, saying, oh, you need closure. No, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Closures are BS and lies. Those are programmed. So once I had my spiritual awakening, which was decades later, after all the shit that I effed up, that I did to myself, and I hurt a lot of other people, because I was chasing unavailable women because the hole in my heart, because I believed, oh, I did not have closure. What? Go home, go pay respect to my mother's grave. Everyone told me, oh, you needed to do that. And the fear getting greater, like I had to relive the grief, this and that. There's no such thing. So this is why the thing when I have something against ANNA teaching, it's like, you're going to be in recovery for the rest of your life. F and BS, no way. I am grateful, I am love, and I am light. And that's what you are. It's the way you feed. So once I had my spiritual awakening, I realized like I could actually feel the presence of my mother. So what closure? What are you entertaining? It is the ego and the pride. It is a lot of these programs are projected reality and projected limited realities out of the society, out of your parents, out of your old teachers and old teachings, that we are limited. There's no limit of what we could do. I mean, I do miracles all day, every day. And that's where we're at. This is why we're going to segue to, I'm going to create protocol, certification, whatever it is. So we're going to create a lot of pain relief specialists utilizing these basic teachings that I put together and some of those basic tools. And including certain basic mineralizations, amino acids, nutritions, and how do you go about it. I even have super basic stuff to detox, let's say from the crystal patches, and even these are I formulated these. This is called Rescue 19. Okay, this help a lot of people, because this is basically all. So decrease inflammation, stress, anxiety, all the spike proteins, vaccine injuries, and all that. Okay. Then after they reach certain level of alignment and biocoherence, then I could introduce this, which is shroom infusion. I don't introduce this until they have their own coherence. This is to repair the traumatic brain injuries and to repair, because when you in that negative loop, you actually creating physical injuries. So when I say we are what we feed, it's both. When you feed negative thoughts and negative emotion and creating this demonic vortex, because these are what entities are feeding, this parasitic stuff is feeding on the negative thoughts and emotions. So when a person or one of a soul continue playing this stuff, you're creating a whole demonic vortex because these parasitic entities need fuel. Okay, now, and with the vaccines and all that, especially with the COVID-19, is really bad because it makes this entities like anchored in the physical tissue, the graphene oxide and all that energetically. So I created simple stuff like this and other stuff like carbon-60, but I'd rather talk about this first because this is very affordable and accessible. What this does, increase the light, able to detox, antiviral, and hormone balancing. So I want to talk about the properties of all this spike protein, okay?
Okay, let's
If I
just be
may.
a little careful.
Okay, the spike proteins are energetics in nature, okay? From the V, okay? So when a person having these PTSDs and they're having this, the level of the work, what you need to do is literally 10 times full of effort. So you need to do other things. That's why I created this. So you need to do the detox part of it, because when I do healing, this thing is almost like ticks a lot of times. You will literally feel, the person will feel something jump off out of them when you creating so much light with the minerals, with the gratitude, with the breathing techniques. So these are not necessarily, you don't even have to physically in the physical space with them. These are energetic, meaning to detox these heavy metals and the spike proteins, you really need to conduct more light, not just get in the high vibration. You have to have more truth within yourself. We go back to the gratitude and the breathing. So let's say heavy metals, it's not being held with anything else rather than negative, dark energetic field. So when I do this just breathing technique with the gratitude, majority of people start actually tasting metals in their mouth. So they're actually already like remotely, they had to spit and they have to ground those things because there is a direct relationship between the heavy metals and the parasites because they all kind of protect each other. So your body had a hard time to fight the parasites and detoxing the heavy metals. They're kind of like trying to confuse your soldiers that's healing and detoxing your own body. So that's basically it. And as far as the tools and the teachings is very applicable. And this, as long as you do the water cell gratitude as is in the beginning, I have my own alignment techniques that it took me decades to continue make it in a whole different level of simplicity, because it needs to be simple but then yet applicable. But we need doers. So in the spirituality that I'm teaching is applied spirituality. And so we're going to go back to our veterans and military sisters and brothers. My key word is mission. So once I was able to instill that mission back to them, to give them a purpose, just like we're giving the pain the purpose, just like when we're giving our pain and suffering, which is just a perception of purpose. So in the beginning, to feel worthy for them, it's foreign, right? But then little at a time, it's like, okay, are you worthy of a mission? So if it's like this, all right, let's make like a verbal contract. If I'm able to reduce your pain within 50% in seconds or minutes, would you help me help others? Guess what would be the answer? 110% of the time. Yes. So that's my mission. Just as soon as they feel better, let them be part of your mission. So they never feel alone. Because when I explain to people, right, you're never alone. I've been there many times when I was trying to, quote unquote, commit suicide. I hear God, like God came to me like a friend talking shit to me. It's like, I'm alone. Like, so who am I
Mocking
talking to?
you.
Yeah. Like, who am I talking to right now? Are you being a bitch? Or like, are you being a coward? Like, you speak against this. So you you think the battle's going to be over when you take your life? I have to talk about this with a lot of our suicidal crisis individuals. Do you really think, truly, I need you to really think and feel like, if you end your life, do you think the battle actually over now? Because I know it wasn't. Well, yeah, because it's just the emotional pain is unbearable. Okay, what if we could reduce the emotional pain? So this why I have these tools and teaching, because once I demonstrate, not just talking, I demonstrate, I do demos that their pain and mentally and emotionally is better. Then I will ask them, now you feel better. Are you going to go back and continuing in this abusive relationship within yourself? Because if it's self-abusive, this is self-abusive. If I provide relief naturally and then you go back, so that's on you.
Yeah.
So that's basically, again, I know we said this millions of times, willingness and commitment, but the solutions are here. And then go ahead, and then I have a few more things that I would like to share, but go ahead then. So what's your how do you feel about what I just said?
Definitely. I love it all. I love the idea of teaching other people how to help other people, but I also like the ideas of teaching our patients, teaching our clients, how to help themselves. I love that they could go and take this away and practice and apply, like you said, things on their own, because really all the answers are inside of us and they just really need to be pulled out. And if it means by someone like us that knows, that's fine. But ultimately, then you have them teaching other people these things, and so that's when the healing becomes a legacy and generational. Why not
Yes.
let it be that instead of the pain being the generational thing or the toxic, stuff being generational? No, let's have the healings be a legacy. Maybe that is our new mission, or a person could have that as a new mission.
That's what
Generational healing.
testimonials, yeah, that's what testimonials are, just as powerful as the PTSD. So how do I combat the dark demonic vortex and all these PTSD's vortex? By creating testimonials. So everyone that I help, when they receive massive miracles, I told them, it's a mandatory, it's up to you, but it is mandatory, because how much are you claiming your misfortunes and how much are you claiming your blessings? I mean, we're in America. I am extremely blessed to be here. This is why I'm a patriot, because I came here, again, from a dying wish of my mother, and I'm here. So I don't want to hear any, victim, like there's no healing in victimhood. And that's the same, even let's say you were victimized, you were this, but if you're in that mental state, like, because I heal all PTSD and trauma victims from sexual abuse, SRV, satanic ritual, anything. If you actually in that victimhood, there's no healing. I'm going to tell you right now, brothers and sisters, much love and respect for you. Claiming you have this and you have that is big part of the identity. That's basically you are wearing a fucking slogan saying, I am a victim. You are not a victim. That's number one that needs to be accepted truth as is. You are not a victim. You're just like, well, this thing happened and I'm working through it. Just having that consciousness and you start feeding that, it's a totally different thing. That's why I don't necessarily agree with, well, I am this, I'm recovering from this. No, I'm working through this, but I am not this.
Yeah. You don't want to own it.
You don't want to own it, because then it's always related to, like, it's like, I'm into race cars, right? It's like, can you imagine you're building a race car for the rest of your life and it's never been done and you never get to race it? Or whatever project. Just imagine if you're trying to build a project with your child or with your daughter and it never actually come to fruition. Wouldn't that suck? So why would you claim that about you? Oh, yeah, I've been sober for 15 years. I said, brother, what the F are you talking about? You've been sober. You're still dry drunk. You are dry drunk. So it doesn't matter. that thing, it doesn't even matter. Like, how much have you healed? And let's talk about that, you know, and we have all the solutions, and I'm so amped up. I'm so passionate about this.
We
You
can
know,
tell.
it's like, look, the solutions are here. The teachings are all here. And
Yes.
again, so I'm going to provide complimentary instant pain relief all week, every day. I'm going to post it on my social media starting from tomorrow. I'll post it like where we're going to be, you know, and if you are a veteran or somehow serve this country, whether, you know, and here's, okay, let's switch the subject real quick. Most veterans actually having a hard time right now, just like holidays for people that had a lot of deaths in the family. It's not that easy. So come, and if you're open heart, then we probably could lighten up the burden and the emotion that you could actually enjoy Memorial Day. Enjoy Memorial Day instead of feeling bad about it.
Yeah.
Because that's actually a new concept for veterans, because they feel really, really bad because they're in that grief mode forever.
Yeah.
Like,
and then they could actually go and really honor other veterans that have taken the ultimate sacrifice if they're healed to do so. And I love what you're doing. I don't know if you're going to be in one spot and people are going to come to you. That's great. But Rick, go ahead. You have a lot to say. He did the lean, Rick.
He did the lean. I told you. No, this is about the gratitude that goodness that feeds goodness, and it isn't that hard to do once you've started. You know, give it back. Again, we were talking about turning these ways that we were programmed back in on themselves. Sorry, my camera keeps jerking around there.
Okay.
I completely lost my train of thought.
The gratitude is being turned back. We are using gratitude. I don't know. You're going with gratitude, but I mean,
turning back the program to themselves, like to the person. So you're utilizing the same intensity, the same tenacity that it's already qualities that the person and the veteran has. And instead of to the mission is you.
Yep.
Self-reliance is allowed, and it is okay. And it's my trigger warning. It's okay to feel grateful that you served this country and that you lived. It's okay. Don't harbor the guilt and think that your brothers and sisters who've fallen want you to feel this way. They want you to live. They want you to be fulfilled. That's why you were able to go through what you did. You were all the same. That's why I was hearing when Jeff was talking about that. Allow yourself, you can use that experience as something good, as gratitude. It's okay. You're allowed to do that. Absolutely. Have the power. You're your own power. Don't dictate your healing or how you feel based off how others tell you to do it. Whether you read it in a magazine or you were, inspired by some article that you read or whatever you heard back in the day. Rely on yourself and make that decision and stick with that decision and be accountable for that decision and observe it and recognize the benefits it's giving you, or maybe it's not benefiting you. And maybe that's here we are at the avoidance system. Use that to then correct course and do something that will benefit you. And that's just where my mind goes, because when you get the people who are like, okay, I've thought about what you said. I've worked through this. I'm ready now to confront this. I can face it without fear. What can I do to start repairing the damage that you've talked about, Rick? The soft tissue damage that I've allowed myself to, accumulate over all these years of just hating myself and going through the cycle and loop of grief and guilt over and over again until it was numb. How can I feel again? That's where I think a lot of people are at, that I've talked to recently. Now they're ready to kind of progress on with using the crystal patches and using the Rescue 19, using those things to supplement the process that they're keeping going to maintain that, and you'll feel the benefits and you'll want to continue to do so.
That's what I was going to ask you, Rick, what are some of the things that you have in your toolkit to help people?
a lot of the things that I go to lately, and I know it sounds like a broad blanket, but it's just proven, is before it was X39. Now it's X49. I just think that because it's more all encompassing, and then making sure that they've done a parasitic detox. And a lot of people that I talk to are male, they're men. And guys, don't take this the wrong way. It's really easy to start you guys off small with things like herbs, because you guys get really turned off when I start talking about, your diet. You think it's going to be some pill, because that's again what you were programmed to believe.
Yeah.
That, oh, I'm just going to give, Rick's just going to give me this pill, and I just got to take this pill and I'm going to feel better, and I don't have to deal with my problems or face my trauma, what makes me feel bad. No, you still have to do that, but this will help you. So things like pumpkin seeds. I'm really big on diet. So making sure that your diet's straight, because then all of this effort's kind of going to be for nothing. It's going to give you that last edge. It's like imagining if you had to take a few steps back to cross a big gap, and you got to make this jump. These dietary changes are going to be that one extra, few inches that you got to make that leap, so you can make that, with good footing. Not have to, reach for it, to use some kind of a visual metaphor. That's huge for me, is diet. And that's also been from self-practice. Especially after meeting Jeff and learning from him. I mean, there's so many ways that we may be trying to give ourselves the best. We might try to eat really clean, cut out things from our diet that weren't working, whether it's carbohydrates or sugars, which again, without going too deep of a dive, I'm not a big fan of people who are like, carbophobes or sugar phobes, completely just cutting things out of their life just to do it because they think it's benefiting them without realizing what they're actually doing. So again, that goes into the mindfulness. But I think it's so easy. I think it's just an easy way to get started. And I want to say that that's another big benefit. A lot of you guys are in the gym together with each other. Speaking of veterans, not even going to the gym. My next thought was immediately like the WikiLeaks channel on Telegram. If you guys are there, I see it so often, and in the comments of the videos on Rumble. Hey, checking back in. I just watched your video. It's been 2 weeks. I had great results from doing this protocol that I've told my friends about it. And I love seeing those comments, and I always try to make it a point to give them some sort of kudos for giving that feedback, saying that they're sharing what they've learned. Because that is the biggest benefit. Because then it's almost like, wow, it is happening on its own. All these hours we spend doing these videos, it is worth it. It's so worth it to get this information out there, because it's not being talked about anywhere else. And so many people have really missed it. And I just really hope that it continues to spread. So the message, Jeff, that you're giving for people to now give that light that they're feeling back to others and share, that helps propagate this whole oneness that we all are a part of.
Yeah, the consciousness.
Which is a big realization that people have, when they do start feeling better. It's like, wow, I am a part of this. Wow, I was listening to you from the beginning, Rick, and you were telling me that we were all, we're all in this together. We're all connected, even if we're not physically here anymore, energetically and spiritually, we're together. I didn't believe you at first. And now that I've gone through this and I've listened to what you said, even with a little bit of reluctance, I now see and can admit, because I'm clean, that I maybe had a skewed view, and now I can see, and now I feel good, and I'm ready to go off and do it on my own. That's what we want. That's the goal. And then come back and check in, when you need help, because we're always here. We're always connected. That's where we want to be.
Yeah. And even if people got off of a protocol or whatever, they have the tools. They know it's very easy. Life happens. We know, and we were talking about that, Rick. They think they're better, and so they stop, or they're feeling better and they stop, or think life happens and they stop. But you know what to do now. Just go back on. It's as easy as that. And start with what you have. Start with what you have in the house. I think one of the main things that all three of us have in common is salt, or this is sodium bicarbonate, but salt is such a huge thing that we've all talked about today, and it's very easy to have. I've got my Redmond's Relight right here. I've got sodium bicarbonate. Go ahead, Rick.
Oh my gosh, anything from Magic Group products. Shoot, the name is forgetting me right now, Jeff. What was that amazing place we went to? I can't think
Sunstar.
Sunstar Organics.
Yeah.
Bless them all.
I
for
mean,
those
even keeping it
products.
in the house in front of the front door, right, Rick? You guys had a funny story about protection. So not just in our water, but using salt for many different things.
Yes.
Protection.
Oh wow, yes, that story.
Okay, and then definitely I can put in the description of this video because it's gonna be on probably all of our channels and stuff.
Yeah.
YouTube for me, and my backup is Rumble, but you did talk about X39, X49. We could put some details of that in the description. Jeff, definitely I can put in the description your products that you have. If people are like, "Ooh, what's that?" I want to talk to Jeff about that. Was there anything else? Do we need to wrap up here, guys? We've been going over an hour.
Yes.
Was there
I'll make
any
it quick. I'll
was
make
there
it
any
quick.
housekeeping? Okay.
Okay, I'll make it quick. I'm going to go back to the basics of energy in motion, which is emotion. Okay. So most people, including our brothers and sisters as veterans, they're thinking pharmacy is an outside agent, right? It's an entity, an organization. They train all these doctors, blah, 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 blah. Okay. But actually, the real pharmacy is us. So let's talk about emotion. If you could actually do a research, what gratitude trigger, what kind of nootropics, what kind of neurotransmitter that gratitude increase? Oh, that's going to be a
Serotonin?
homework. I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it. I'm going to do a homework. So this is the way I work. So here's the emotional content. Okay, emotional content. This is what I learned this from Bruce Lee as a very young boy. Emotional content. It's not thought, emotional content. Okay. Heart, essence. Gratitude. What does it trigger? If you actually cultivate gratitude, what chemical compounds that the brain releases and produce? Okay. Bravery. Be brave. That release a very, very potent anti-cancer. Okay. To feel belong to a tribe, when you hug, excuse me, I'm trying not to curse too much. You could do jumping jacks together. I've done this demonstration with people. I am happy. Like 10 times, like whatever, 2 minutes, 20 minutes. And then you could say whatever that's truthful to you, After that, you could check in the way you feel is totally different. So there's a difference in releasing, and there's a difference in neural pattern and rewriting the neural pattern. And that's basically what I do. I just don't really say it like that, so people could understand it. I'm a behaviorist at the end of the day. Mental and emotional work is the spiritual work. So another thing, once you feel you belong and you feel bonded, what is the chemical bonding? Oxytocin, right? I'm gonna give you an example. Oxytocin, when you actually feel that bonding, let's say it's the same feeling of, let's say, when you're breastfeeding, when you actually embrace after lovemaking, but it doesn't have to be the lovemaking
Any
part.
touch can
Any
release
touch,
oxytocin.
hug, like just look up, so you understand how powerful these are. So when you say self-healing, this is what I teach, is cultivation. So I explain to people, don't pray unless you do your mental, emotional work. Your emotional and mental work is your responsibility. Then you could pray after. Now, with this emotion that you cultivate with breath, there's no limit in healing. And with water salt gratitude, and then with other tools. So with oxytocin alone, and they're scientifically, clinically studied, proven, let's say 60, 70-year-old muscle cells will perform like 20 years old by just having that. So I have tools. If people don't get there on their own, I have tools for them to get there. Okay, but that's for another part. But basically, just to show that your emotion, whether it is negative or positive, it actually trigger chemical reaction. So our body respond energetically more than by actual physical pharmacy. Our body responds the fastest with emotion. So that's how the fastest way for a person to heal. Forgiveness. That's another thing. So look it up, and all this positive emotion, it needs to be cultivated, and it's work. And don't get in the victim mode. Well, I have PTSD. How am I going to feel grateful? Okay, so that's the part. If you are willing to get over yourself and get over that victimhood, that's the key. But then I just want to close with that. Each positive emotion and emotional content has, look it up. That's your homework, brothers and sisters. It has massive, powerful, no limit level type of healing for yourself.
Rick, do you want to?
That's an order.
You've been voluntold. So do you have anything that homework or anything you want to leave people with?
Just remember, guys, that I know it's a lot to look at, but you can do this. You're allowed to do this. Taking this path of the healer is, again, your own responsibility, and you have the autonomy to make your own decisions. And we just want you guys to have a clear route forward. That's what all of this is about: breaking down the blockage that's happening in your own mind from the trauma, realizing what you can do after you transmute that energy and what opens up for you. And it's going to feel good, I promise. Because I think a lot of people are scared to go down this path. It's scary to confront your problems. I know that. I've had to do it too. It's kind of scary, but believe me, you can do step 1 and you'll be okay. Then you'll be able to do step 2 and so on and so forth. Just do it in small steps. There are no shortcuts in life. If you take shortcuts, you're going to come up short later on. What's the other one? Walking on the grass, right? Don't walk on the grass. Don't step on the grass, meaning don't take a shortcut. There's not going to be any shortcuts in combat necessarily. Don't try and take the short way out, guys. Just do the process, trust the process. You're going to feel great. If you have any questions, you guys can always reach out to us. That's what we're here for. And share this knowledge with your brothers and sisters, because that's really what's going to help solve this problem. Everyone who goes down every day, killing the stigma that it's not fixable. It is. I'm telling you, it is. I've seen it happen. Just don't give up. That's it.
Yeah, I just want to send blessings to Gold Star families this weekend, and thank you so much for those that have served. And we're including veterans as well as active duty. If you are an active duty member, definitely please go see Jeff or call Jeff. And if you're near him, you can get some help. My homework is, I just want to tell people you are worth it. You are worthy for anything good in this lifetime, any and all abundance. And like my book title that I'm working on, Bless Your Pain, and that you're not alone, and call us and we can help. So with that, I want to say thank you guys for just having this roundtable. I would love to do it again. Jeff, thank you. Rick, thank you. Again, I'm Dr. Maria Salas, and we're going to all have this show. I'm Dr. Maria Salas, and my show on YouTube is called How We Heal with Dr. Maria. Rick's got a show on Rumble called, go ahead.
Ricky Leaks.
Okay. And then Jeff?
On Instagram, The Miracle Movement.
Okay.
And on Facebook, just Jeff Mamora.
Okay. So we'll have all that information there. And thank you guys for your time. This was a long one, but it's worth it. So until next time, we love you all. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you, guys.